No. Yeah. Okay, hello, my name is Gus. I'm the number one son. On behalf of the Eaton clan, I welcome you all. I'm not a great public speaker, and I'm probably going to mess this up. So hang in. So my 9th grade teacher, I did this speech class, she said, you get a little anxiety up there, just picture everyone naked.
Right.
All right. Kate, Judy, Katie, Mom. Sorry. Jeff, put it away. Yeah, I can see it. All right, that's not going to work. Forget all that. All right. Okay, let's go. So my name is Gus, otherwise known as Dad's fastest swimmer. Thank you. First place.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming from near and far. He would have loved this party, this beautiful venue, all of you guys. I know he's here. I absolutely know this, that he is here.
LeRoy!
So we can blame anything that happens today that's kind of messed up on Dad. Broken glasses, DUIs, Uber. I really don't believe that he's sitting on a cloud somewhere because he was afraid of heights and he hated the heart. Nor do I think he's in the mountains due to he got lost in the last 2 times he went out backpacking. Thanks, Jeff and Dennis, for finding out. Yeah, good job. Thank you. Nor at a river fly fishing, and after fixing the last tangle for a half hour, and he tried to retangle on the same tree on the next cast.
Are you recording this?
Tom, you know all about that, right? Tom?
It's not going to be good if I sit right there.
They were fly fishing buddies forever. Nor at the beach where I saw him nearly drown while running straight into the water to a giant shore break in 1975, which he never went in the ocean again. No. Nor the desert town of Yermo, where he grew up, because the house where he was raised is now full of crackheads.
Sometimes.
Crystal meth head.
Oh, crystal meth. Sorry. He always spoke of this beautiful little town, and he held it in high regard. And again, he's here. He's in our hearts. He's in our memories always. So I'll let the other speakers reminisce about Dad's legacy and adventures, and I'd like to thank some people first. First off, it's our neighbors, otherwise known as the Griffith Way Mafia. We've been on the street for 50 years, and our love and support has been amazing. You guys have always picked up the phone and came over to help my family. Thank you very much. Hogue Hospice provided a service that was impeccable. They took care of all my dad's medical needs and took the burden of that off my mom. They're just not there for my dad, but for our family. They provided guidance and support. Even to this day, I really don't know how they do that kind of job. To my dad's full-time caregivers, there's Marisol. Marisol, stand up, Marisol.
Thank you.
We love you so much. And she is, her company's called We Care. She might has a business card.
He's got him.
Get that money. And thank you for her staff provided care in my dad's last months. It was part-time, then became full-time 24-hour care. They were so great to my dad. He wasn't easy at times, but he understood that he needed some help at the end. To my Filipino brothers, they're not here, but I wrote the damn speech for them. Just remember I tell them I love them. Okay. All right. Special thanks to the Laguna Beach Fire Department.
Yeah!
I know that they always were greeted by my dad like, "What the fuck are you doing here? And get the hell out of my house." Sorry about that. Very cool, Mike. All right, this one's gonna be tough. Okay. Hey, Jan. Here's Jan. All right, this one was hard to write. No. How can you describe an angel walking on the earth? She was a huge part of 690 in the last 4 years. She brought sanity in a somewhat chaotic house. You brought humor, joy with all your visits. My dad cherished your adventures. He loved getting out of the house, jumping in Bridie, getting down the road. You guys were attached to the hip, and he really thought you were a daughter. You guys played thousands of games of Rummy Cube. All wrong. Golfing into the 19th hole. Playing pool at the senior center of Anaheim. That's an inside joke. And treating you to In-N-Out burgers or just having a sandwich on a park bench. Yeah, you were dealing with some great loss with your parents too. We can't thank you enough for making this. I love you. In conclusion, fuck all timers. I know it was hard for some people to come out and see his decline, but he was stronger than the disease. He recognized the problem and he remembered everyone, and we're so lucky, and I know this. So let's, I'm gonna do a couple of cheers. All right, let's do one for Yermo, okay? 1, 2, 3. One more. This is gonna be Roy Boy. 1, 2, 3. Roy Boy! One more, 3. Gritty Dog. 1, 2, 3. Gritty Dog! What about the giant man? We love all you. It's so great to see all these old, beautiful faces.
It's a reunion.
It's a reunion. And we'll be cutting the cake later and the garter toss to follow. Yeah. We're going to go to the river, find a sandbar.
That's right.
Anyway. Love you guys. Peace
Love you
out.
guys. Good job, bro. Let's go.
You almost made me play the music. Now I get it ready. All right, we've got D. Brazil. Dale is going to jump up here. Stop. Just thank you. So that's my timer going up. Saying, thank you very much, and I'll let D take the mic.
Go Dee!
LeRoy Eaton is my best friend. Many of you here think that too, because that's the kind of guy he was. I first met Miriam and LeRoy when Chuck Wyan took me to their house in Mission Viejo for dinner. Gus was a toddler, and Gabe, where are you?
I'm right here.
Gabe was in his bassinet.
And I still am.
While LeRoy and I both went to the probation department, I didn't really get to know LeRoy until my son was referred to an alternate routes program, diversion program at Juvenile Hall, and LeRoy was his counselor.
Oh, wow.
They became fast friends. Later, when my son Mark was home from college and died in a vehicle accident, LeRoy wrote his eulogy and delivered it. I can still see the vision of him with flaming red long hair and a full red beard. This was the 70s, you all. Walking through the crowd, up the aisle to the podium, and delivering the most eloquent tribute to my son. That vision is in my heart always. LeRoy taught me to backpack. He introduced me to the Sierra. Taught me to fly fish. He spearheaded a group of us to backpack and camp in the Havasupai Canyon. When I fell off of the ladder and broke my hip, LeRoy flew to Arkansas and took the first week duty in nursing. I took a picture of him threading a cotton stocking onto my injured leg. And I said, LeRoy, think back to the 60s and try to imagine this scene. We both had a good laugh. He flew home and Miriam came and took the second week.
Oh.
When I married Ted, a retired Air Force colonel, LeRoy called me up and said, Dee, why in the hell didn't you just marry a cop? But he came to love Ted. And Ted, Miriam, and I, and LeRoy spent many happy times together as a foursome in Idaho, Laguna, and Arkansas. When Ted died, LeRoy stood by my side through all those days and to the funeral. He was like a brother to me. There is so much more, but I only have 3 minutes. I will not leave this mic without witness to Miriam, who, unbeknownst to us, has the heart of Florence Nightingale on steroids. She gave him the best life possible through the years as his disease progressed, the best I have seen in all my years working with hospice. In closing, LeRoy took up the harmonica during his illness. He called me recently to thank me for sending him Ted's harmonica. And he said, you know, Dee, I don't really play it. I just blow on it. So, buddy, you're always in my heart. Here's to you.
Come on, Mr. Gabe.
Gabe!
And we got Jan on deck. Come on. All right.
Okay, Bo. You can do this,
Oh my God, did I not want to do this?
I love you, Dad.
I love you too, son. Great speech. I figure when my son did the speech that would be enough. You know, when somebody that's that important to you dies, it's really hard to say when it's going to come out of you. And my biggest nightmare was it happening right now. And so if it happens, I do apologize, but that would mean that 75% of the speech would be me just crying. And I can do that if you want. It's funny that I haven't cried since my dad died at all until today. Seeing you all here, these pictures. I mean, look at this picture.
Yeah.
He's such a dick. Look. He used to hit me in the face. Dad beat me to where the school would call. And I'd say I fell. Of course, that's what he told me to say. I fell. What can I say? My mom and I have always had a kind of a rough relationship. But during my mom has had what, 4 lungs removed, 11 breast cancers, brain surgeries, removed half of her brain. We all know that part. But me and my brother and my dad would just camp out at the hospital. My dad never went to the hospital once. He had a boil on his ass. And that was the first time he went to the hospital.
We don't even think he was born in a hospital.
I don't even think he was born. He was born on Yermo sand. But I mean, can you imagine going your whole life and then you go and finally get admitted for a boil? But when my mom was sick, Gus calls her a cockroach because no matter how many times you stop her, she just keeps coming back. But my dad never went to the hospital, so when he started going to the hospital, it was really hard to deal with that. I still haven't really processed the fact that he was even in a hospital bed, and but when my mom was in the hospital, the whole time my dad never left. He would camp out there. He'd camp out. And we would too if we could. We'd camp out. And we'd spend the night, we were there, we were like, and because we really thought my mom was gonna pass, but she's a cockroach. He does not die. You can step on him and they keep running. But you're beautiful, Mom, and you don't look like a cockroach.
I'm going to play him out in a second.
I might get played out. I want to take a second. Is that my son gave a great speech.
Yeah! Whoa!
My biggest dream was to be a baseball. I was going to be a baseball.
All right, it's time to start playing them out.
And my dad took me over to the high school. He would have a suit on, perfectly polished shoes. He'd take them off, and he'd walk me over there and play catch. And he did it over and over and over again. I knew he was tired. I knew he didn't want to do it. but as soon as he got over there, he really did. He really did. But I sucked. I was the worst baseball player ever. I imagine the worst baseball player ever, and then I'm down here. But he every day he comes home. I knew he dealt as a child custody investigative services. He wrote the book on that shit. He really did. He really did in Orange County. He wrote the book on that. And to have him come home and just like suck it up and walk me over to the high school and play catch as it hit me in the head. Right? He never gave up on me.
Is that what
Never gave
happened?
up on me. So when it came to Wyatt, I never gave up on him either. He just tried so hard, and at one point he's like, well, maybe I should give this guy a saxophone. Because he sucks at every sport. Except for golf. So I did become a musician because of him. And he told me that when he passes, he wants me to continue to be a musician. And that's something I plan to do for him.
I love you, Dave, but we have to do that.
Can I say, wait, that was 3 minutes? Does this suck? I'm getting paid for 25 minutes. Anyway, lastly,
Here's $100 if you go to
He's taking it.
Anyway, I haven't cried since my dad died, until today. And I don't know why, but seeing all of your faces made me realize that he was so loved, and we could have filled this place times 10. We should all try to be more like LeRoy.
Yeah.
Drop it.
Drop the mic.
Twice.
Good job, gamers!
Pick a brain. It's bigger. I'm 3 minutes and 19 seconds unless I cry. I met Miriam and LeRoy about 43 years ago when Dave Klug invited Tom, Jenna, myself, and the crew to the river. Klug said, "You have to come to the river with me. It's a lot of fun with these crazy friends of my dad's." Well, that's all we needed to hear, so we packed up and headed to the Red Rooster campground. Never in my life had I met a bigger bunch of educated reprobates. Since a picture is worth 1,000 words, or perhaps many more of this group, I won't say any more about the river, because Dennis, Jeff, and Miriam have that covered with their many photos. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I will say that meeting the Eatons changed my life forever. LeRoy was very proud to have come from Yermo, where he was a lifeguard at the town pool. Years later on road trips with the gang, we would all happily stop at the Chinaman's for a cold beer. As we cleared off the cluttered shuffleboard table, LeRoy would light up as he told us stories of his beloved town. My deeper friendship and title of girlfriend came when LeRoy stopped driving. And yes, he was pissed off. But with Miriam's guidance and a kick out the door, LeRoy and I started golfing together on a little 3- and 4-part course. Often on his 7th or 8th shot, he would say, "Jan, can you believe it? Another par for me today." I'd reply, "Wow, LeRoy, that's unbelievable." When walking the course became too difficult, we rented a cart. The day LeRoy started driving away in the cart as I was teeing off was our last day golfing. Not sure if I'd mentioned that one to Miriam. Our next chapter began when we joined the gym at our club, the Sea Country Senior Center. When the gym started to present too many challenges, we spent our days in the clubhouse pool room where the gentlemen would give us the end table and watch amazed as we would make a single game of pool last for hours. We also brought our own set of rummy tiles that we kept in the cupboard at the club. People started joining us and we taught them the game. There were days that we'd have to walk around to the various game rooms of the club to locate our tiles that were already being used. LeRoy would say, "We did this, Jan. We turned all these people onto tiles." Loved that game. And like Gus said, thousands. And we played it wrong. LeRoy wore a lot of hats, but the hat he wore most often was his Long Beach State hat. He loved that school and the memories surrounding it. When we went to JoJo's for lunch and pool games, he made friends with everyone and loved talking about living at the mortuary and, of course, meeting his love, Miriam. LeRoy and I spent a lot of time together with a lot of people, doing a lot of different things. I think my favorite times were our car rides when we would talk and think. LeRoy was wise, beyond determined, a great listener, and gave solid advice. He taught me to step back and be more patient. We laughed and cried together often. LeRoy Eaton, you made the world a better place for all of us. I love you, LeRoy.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming. Let me quote my speech, sorry.
We're doing it off our phones.
Off the phones, yeah. Gen Z.
You're not touching it.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Tommy. I'm LeRoy's oldest grandson.
Woo!
Yeah. Thank you, I appreciate that. I just thought I would take some time to just kind of briefly talk about him as a person and what he kind of inspires me to do. It was lovely to meet any and every one of you guys. It was really nice meeting everyone that was loved by him and that loves him too. In the time that he's passed, I haven't been able to see him, obviously, but I've felt him. It doesn't matter if I'm splashing in the waves with my sister, or if I'm in the river, or I'm carrying a backpack that's way too fucking heavy, and it probably has rocks in it, probably. And even in the small things, like playing games of Sudoku, I feel Grandpa there. When I find a number, I'm like, oh yeah, Grandpa, thanks. But he always pushed me to do anything creatively, and always pushed me to be outdoorsy. He helped me buy my first saxophone, oh not my first saxophone, but the saxophone I play today. And has always pushed me to keep doing music and keep being active. He's a man who loved a good game of cards, nature, music, and his family. And if any of you guys have any stories that you'd like to share with me about my grandpa, I would be really honored to. And if you guys could just raise your glasses for LeRoy. Julie's gonna take over here. Oh, I'm over here.
Hi guys. As you know, we're LeRoy's grandchildren. I'm Judy, Tommy, and then Wyatt. Shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's only 3 of us, we have quite a unique relationship with LeRoy, one that only the 3 of us share. So I wanted to share a little bit about that. His grandchildren meant the world to him, and he showed it in his own ways. Growing up, I got all of the love, cuddles, and attention from my grandma, and like when we'd come to visit, and he would just stand there and smile and always had the biggest grin on his face. Grinning dog, shout out. Looking back on the years that we had together, it's clear that his way of showing love was different, but never less than Lulu's. Instead of cuddles, tickling, and head washing, he would do acts of service, like picking me up when my legs were sore. When we were bored, he would take Tommy and I to the movies, and he would fall asleep every single time. He would make us breakfast every morning without hesitation. He would take us to the high school during sunset to kick the soccer ball around, and he never missed a soccer game. This time last year, I had the honor and the privilege of being his part-time caretaker during the week with Jan. I became the person that would take him to the movies. I would bring him to the high school to walk the track, and I would sit him down when his legs were tired, even though he would never admit it. And I would help him with breakfast, just like he did for us throughout our lives. Even though our roles were reversed, towards the end of his life, it was the greatest honor I could ever have. Taking care of my grandpa was very special, and we shared a bond like no other. I'll never forget the happy and loving memories that he gave me, even up until the end. I love learning about him, so please share more memories. And thank you guys so much for coming. I love you all, and he would have loved seeing all of you here.
Probably time for some reprobates. There's just no better word to describe these two guys. Actually, they're really some of the nicest people I've ever met. And honestly, we've had so much fun and so much laughter. And I want to bring up Jeff Perot and Dennis Burke. And they're bringing up Mr. Roy Boy with them.
Yeah, Boy.
You can slide that over for a second.
Oh boy, we have nothing prepared, so we're gonna wing this. LeRoy?
We're educated.
Yeah,
What's he saying?
all right, I show of hands, how many people have heard about the Wild Bunch? Y'all have heard about the Grinning Dog, right?
I haven't.
Yeah, well, we gave him that nickname. LeRoy, Denny, and I were charter members of the Wild Bunch that started back in 1974, 50 years ago. LeRoy started it. Roy was always, yeah, there they are. Yeah, we need some backup. Yeah, he was always approached people. Boy was a team builder. He loved to put things together. He heard that I knew how to backpack and hit me up and said, hey, take me. I want to learn how to do that. So I gave him a list of gear. And a few weeks later off, we went to the Sierras. We're at 10,000 feet. And the late summer, early spring storm came in. And next thing you know, the two of us were stuck in a tent for 8 hours with a bag of peanuts and some jerky and a jug of whiskey. He said, God, what a great time. He goes, I can't wait till we do this again. And right then and there, I knew what he was made of. And boy, did we do it again. We never missed another year for 45 years.
Wow.
And a few weeks later, we meet Dennis Frank Burke here at a party. And he was holding court about it's time-wise, we got 3 minutes, but we're pooling our minutes.
That's 6 minutes.
And Leroy says we can have his 3. No, I'll keep it short because I have to pee. But we met Dennis, and he was cut of the same cloth, and he'd just been back from a huge trip in Baja, whatever. Well, next thing it was on, the 3 of us. We met for beers at JoJo's in the 49er bar and planned all of our adventures. It wasn't just backpacking, it was skiing, trips to Baja, to the river. Uh-oh. And the Grinning Dog, we like any gang, we got nicknames. And okay, look, it's only appropriate, right? The Grinning Dog. But the operative word wasn't as much the grinning as it was the dog part. He was a lot of things dog. He was the Yaramo dog. Whiskey, he was Jean-Claude dog. He came up with a particular ugly ski outfit one time. He became known as the Great Poupon dog. A lot of things began. And then, who deserved every bit of it. I do know that he threw beer cans at this one. Because he was too fast, he got tired of chasing him. He was a pretty good shot with it, but anything you want to say? On a personal note, along with LeRoy, became a part of the Eaton family. 50 years worth. I've known these two since they were little towheads. Always had to keep an eye on this one. Miriam, God love you. You've been a friend just as same as LeRoy for all that time. All the good times, all the parties, all the time Roy burned chicken. And I was much too young to be present for your wedding when you got married to LeRoy about 100 years ago. But I've never been so honored to be able to walk you down the aisle when you renewed your vows a couple months ago. And thank you so much for that privilege. And for you two, I never had sons of my own. And I've never been so proud. Ferg is their godfather, their second dad. And love you guys to death. And Roy, your grandkids rock.
Yeah!
Peace out. Uh-oh.
All right, everybody. We're going to get the Luther Hughes and Friends group back up here and have them play a little music. And
We got John. Oh, John, I am so sorry.
come on, John Reed. Come on. I didn't forget about you. Okay, I did. In all fairness. John is one of LeRoy's, I'll say oldest friends, but I don't want to say John's old, because he's not old, right? All right, here we go.
Okay, is that a great picture of Roy or what? Well, I met Roy in elementary school in Yermo in 1948. I see a lot of people in this room that weren't around then. So I'm kind of dating myself. But he wore cowboy shirts. His mother made these cowboy shirts made out of real shiny material. I guess it was silk. And she embroidered on it. They were all different colors. And I noticed a picture over there, those cowboy shirts. And I was always impressed with that cowboy shirt. And the other thing that I was impressed with in elementary school was Roy was a pitcher on a softball team. And he was a pitcher his whole life. But he started out there at Yermo Elementary School, Yermo Mustangs, as a pitcher. And I tried to catch him a couple times, but he would burn them in there. And of course, I was 3 years younger than him, so he could get the best of me. Anyway, so in high school, when he went to high school, he had a paper route, and he didn't want to do the paper route anymore, so he sold the paper route to me. And we had the Union Pacific Railroad Station there in Normal, and we had a Harley house, a bunk house, and that's where we would sell the paper. And so he was training me one day and said, okay, things are a little low, we've got 4 or 5 papers left. What we'll do is we'll go across town to this place called Just Latham's. It was a beer bar. Okay. So we go in there. He said, you don't want to come in here until after 10:30. That's when everybody's happy. And that's when you're going to buy your paper. Okay, so we go in there, and then about 100 yards farther down the street was Lee's Tavern. And I'm sure Roy's talked to you about the Chinaman's, which was an on-off sale, hard liquor. And if I didn't get them at Jeff Laceland, I'd go down there and get them at the Chinaman's. And it usually worked. And, so Roy's dad was kind of a MacGyver. He was in charge of the local swimming pool. And when he took over, it was in disrepair. And he could fix anything. So he got these blocks and made restrooms and dressing rooms, and put benches out there, and painted the walls of the pool, cleaned it up, made Roy the lifeguard. Roy was in high school, made him the lifeguard. Well, every 2 weeks, the pool had to be cleaned. And it was a big pool. I mean, went from 3 feet to 10 feet, and it was pretty wide. So one day Roy said, John, I need some help. He said, if you help me, I'll buy you a Pepsi. Oh, that was good enough for me. So we go up to the pool. He's got these long-handled wire brushes, and we're scrubbing moss off of the sides of the pool at the bottom for 3.5 hours. So we got done, and we went over to Kenny's Market. He said, okay, I'm going to buy you a Pepsi. And he said, well, you know, aren't you kind of hungry? They had a big jar of dill pickles up there. Get one of those dill pickles. I got one of those dill pickles. Then he said, well, you know, how about that hunk of cheese right in there? So he fed me. He took care of my lunch. And every 2 weeks, we would clean the pool, go over to Kenny's, dill pickle, Pepsi, and a piece of cheese. So that was the start of a beautiful friendship. In high school, when he went off to high school, he was good friends with my brother, and they both went out for the football team. And at that time, I idolized football players. I idolized football players and race car drivers. I was going to be a race car driver, but that didn't work out, so I ended up being a football player later. But I would go to practice. When they were in high school, I'd go to the practices. And my brother was a lineman, so he's over here hitting the bags down on their knees, not too exciting. But Roy was a receiver. So they're over here running pass patterns, catching the ball. And so that's where I would go. I'd go watch Roy catch the ball. And that's what I wanted to be, was a football player. After high school, Roy got a job at the Harvey House as a cook. And he worked there for several months, and then he went into the Air Force. And after he went into the Air Force, I didn't see much of him. And fast forward to 1958, I graduated from high school, went on to Chaffey. And the second semester at Chaffey, my brother was there too. And my brother was really good friends, close with Roy. Roy got out of the service and came down to visit. And so we had a night on the town, and the next day Roy says, I'm going to go home. I've got my old cook job back at the Harvey House. And my brother Roger said, no, you're not. You're going to enroll in college. So the next Monday, they took me down to the registrar's office, enrolled him in school the following semester. He started at Chafee. And that's how Roy got his education. It started his education.
And that's the first Eaton that graduated college. By the way, Grandpa. Yeah.
Good. I left Chafee after 2 years. I left Chafee and I went on to Long Beach State. Roy stayed on for another year, and the football coach at Long Beach State got me a job at a mortuary, and they had an ambulance service and an apartment upstairs, and so that's where I lived. I got that job, and the second year, before the second year started, Roy was getting ready to leave Chafee, and I asked the guy, I said, do you have any more openings? He says, yeah, we got this other college kid that's leaving. Do you have somebody? I said, yeah. So Roy came, and we got him a job there, and it was a pretty good sized mortuary. The upstairs had bunk beds and that bathroom, showers, and everything. And there was a little room off the kitchen. And so I went and purloined one of the bunk beds out of the big room and put it in there, put a little desk in there, and a dresser. And there was a little closet in there. And anyway, long story short, we both moved in there, and that's where we spent a couple of years of college life, there in that little room there off the kitchen. The ambulance service, we had two ambulances. One was this was in 1961, so the one ambulance was a 61 Oldsmobile, the other was a 58 Cadillac. And so one night, I got a call on the ambulance, and we went out. It was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and we were going through the intersection with a patient, and we got T-boned by a drunk. So the fender went into the wheel, and we couldn't drive the ambulance anymore. So we called in, and Roy and one of the embalmers came down in the 55 Cadillac. Okay, so we transfer the patient into the Cadillac, and we take the gurney of the Cadillac and put it in the other ambulance, and they take off. Well, unbeknownst to us, the gurney would not fasten to the side of the panel in that ambulance. So the embalmer, he's got the red light siren going, he's going around these corners, and here's Roy back here with trying to hang on to that gurney. The woman's having a heart attack. She's all over the place. She's got a big bump on her head from the accident, and she's saying, what kind of an ambulance is this? You know, and Roy was just, anyway, when Roy got back, he was soaking wet. His eyes were that big. He says, wow, this sure is an exciting place.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks John Reed very much. We're going to get out there. I'm going to encourage John to jump out here, because I want to hear a couple more of these stories. I never heard the one about the ambulance. That's pretty fabulous. All right, folks, I'm going to see if the Luther Hughes Quartet, Luther Hughes and friends, can come back up here, play some music, and then try to see if we can get a little dancing going. Al's getting set up as well, and let's have some fun. I'm getting upstaged here.
Just put your mouth
I'm
near
sorry,
it.
I have
Oh, that's
had
good.
one of these for a long time.
thrilled that Alex is going to celebrate I'm about to go to see myself.
Oh, she's not gonna like that now.
Attendance of
Now,
margarita.
she's not gonna like that.
I want to acknowledge LeRoy's family, true blood Eatons, Merlene, Patrino, and Wendy, and who's not there? Oh my God, Robert. These are Robert. They came from Texas, Detroit, and Mississippi to be here to celebrate you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to everyone who's made this the most special evening.
And we should have started like 10 a.m., right?
And I'm sorry LeRoy isn't here, but he's all around us. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, everybody. I know we all have some great stories, and I'm gonna talk about mine outside there. Margarita. So let's go with a Luther Hughes and Friends group.
Yeah.
Slippery. Well, you hit that one little bump.